Now we're back to where we were in starting the journey from the recorded time onward. We're not limited by time, but it should take about an hour. When we go on the secondary implant updated journey, which has been done for people in the last 6 months, 8 months, a year, it does reveal significantly more. For you, the secondary implants were gone, but it didn't do you a lot of good unless you know the brilliance of the lifetimes that you can also access that were hidden behind them. This is important. I know we get out of touch sometimes doing our own thing, and then sometimes maybe you're not updated properly as you should be in the way things are changing. Yeah, there's a lot of changes. So in these guided journeys, I spend time setting up the journey with friends from out of town. It'd be Torellian and Ramu and Opelum, Etta and Din and Master, let's see, Lightsea, Satnam, Agam Purusha, people from the higher realities, the top silent one. They've been attending these journeys recently, which surprised the heck out of me. Satnam is often joining these now, coming down from the fifth realm and just hanging out in space watching us. Which is, he's his choice, he's doing something. I'm always grateful that he's there because, he represents the first true name. There's no negative nature above the void. The rest of it, we cannot blame those beings. They just are running things the way we all set it up. And if we want to change it, and we do, then we have to change it from the top down, not the other way around. It won't work. Everybody knows you can't change it from here up. They don't remember enough to do it. The first sound behind creation is always the same. It's never changed. It is one power, one living presence. But it's not a living presence like individualizations as atmas of the source itself. It is a living presence combined of all beings connected together. So it's a type of a supreme being, you might say, but it's not supreme over us. It is source, it's prime creator. You won't get this in Hinduism, you won't get this in the Muslim faith, you won't get this in any of the things that are given to people on earth. Perhaps at one time they had this awareness. It's long since been lost here. And that has largely to do with what is done with people before they're stuffed in a body and forced to be here without their permission in the first place. You can call it archangels, you can call it a supreme being of some kind, or blame it on some god put us here and all that kind of thing. Well, if they were God that put us here, they were tyrants, thugs, and sadists. They were not kind. Nobody got stuffed here with no memory because they liked doing it to you for your benefit. Let's put it that way. This work has no negative nature. It is not against any religion. It is here to help bring light and sound and living consciousness and awareness to what exists on this planet. No exceptions. Governments, classified people, heads of religions, heads of politics, and everything there. They're all operating from subconscious fear, or they wouldn't do what they're doing. They wouldn't even dream of it. Fear is the only thing that makes people behave in the way they do. I'm going to send out the tones as you're familiar with, Mooney, and this is something that I do with Torellian and some master teachers up there in order to create a conduit between here and the Atma plane on the other side above the void, because Satnam now brings energy from there through Torellian, creates a oval sphere of a little bit higher golden white light that's the hue than is in space around us. So it plugs us into source energy beyond the lower planes of time and space. You might say this is when the Satnam and higher realities begin to take notice of people that go on these trips. When we daydream, which everybody does by imagining going to the store, driving their kids down the block in a car, or taking a walk, we first visualize or see it. Not with the brain or the mind, it's not in there. There's no imaginative capability in the human brain. People on earth don't realize they're seeing it as the Atma running that body through the pineal gland. And so it communicates a vision to the body, and people think that this imaginative ability is coming from their brain. That traps them on earth because they think only and visualize only earth. They have no reality on visualizing the multidimensional creation. They're quite capable of doing so. But the ability, all those little teardrops in the Atman have to be rehabilitated. Not just secondary implant removals, not primary implant reviews. That's just part of the process. These things are stepping up now. One person in the U.S. has gone into the implant review, and it's publicly on the YouTube channel now. It's the first time. And then the biggest problem he had after that is to learn how to not look back into the primary implant out of habit of trying for 40 years to handle it on his own. Do it by himself. That's not possible because of the way they're structured. We have to have freer beings from out amongst the greater God beyond earth go through this with us in this process. They are beings who have no subconscious mind, they've never been implanted, and they've never been born on earth. They don't have two-stranded DNA even as humans, and their telomeres on their DNA do not shrink when the cells divide. These beings know how to leave their bodies, at least a couple aboard a ship, sit in the back, and then see where they're going to the destination before the ship even gets there. This is the way normal beings operate. Earth is not at all normal, not even close, because people on Earth en masse don't remember how they got here. They don't remember what they used to know before they got here, and they don't know what to go do with themselves as far as exploring what they think God is and what they are. The image originally created as artwork on the front cover of the Emerald Doorway book. Book 1 of the Parallel Time Trilogy is the first book that I know of, probably is the only book on planet Earth, even in monasteries, that actually shows what we look like, because the technology is here to do it now. So we aren't a body, We're not an astral body that looks transparent, or in some people's dreams. They have a dream of flying in a body, that's astral. We're not any of those forms. We are spherical, running forms. Bodies do not run themselves. Human bodies require an energy beam from the atma, the white core of the being, through the pineal gland to even run it, or the body just falls over dead. They don't run themselves. They don't have a battery charge like a car. Doesn't matter about food. It's more for repair and rejuvenating cells for the body. It doesn't do a hoot to wake anybody up. So when you imagine being near the ceiling, you're just daydreaming it. Everybody knows how to do that. People sometimes say to me, I don't know how to see what you just did. And I said, did you see going to the store earlier? Did you imagine going to the beach? Did you imagine picking up your children? Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. We got to focus it out in the greater God and the omnipresent power of the one living force, or we're going to get nowhere. When you're above your body, there is Shantial and Tonaltial standing beside you. Two couples I've introduced to people by name. Shantial, Tonaltial, Dantian, and Lamtian. They're both here. Two are standing behind me. They're just to make sure the primary implant doesn't get in the way on this journey, because you still have one. So do I. Except you know kind of what's in it. You've been through that. And I know what's in mine, so it doesn't affect me in a negative way, unless I indulge in it in some silly way. At some point, these primary implants and subconscious minds will be neutralized in all people on Earth. Permanently removed so that we do not have subconscious minds, because we're not meant to have them. Normal beings in the greater God out among the stars do not have subconscious minds at all. You can imagine what the advantage of that would be growing up on any planet. No fear. No fear of the present and the future. No fear of death. Bodies are what they are and seen for what they are. They are not worshipped. They're not put on a pedestal. And they aren't miscorrectly looked at as who the person is. What people call soul is not stuffed in the body somewhere like a wallet you keep in your back pocket. It is generally, it's not made of time and space, and it's not vulnerable to destruction, nuclear bombs or anything else. Bodies, yes. Planets, maybe. The Atma, no. Which means, responsibility speaking wise, we cannot get out of becoming a conscious co-creator with Source. It is our destiny. So when you're by the ceiling, Shantial and Tonaltial are standing there, and you're hovering up there, Mooney, as a spherical being. And to the left and right are both of these beings, and they're showing you a perfect physical form, about 36, long hair to their shoulders. And in your case, regarding Shantial and Tonaltial, which I'll describe for you, because these are energy bodies that look human. They are not DNA. They're not physical forms. They don't need to breathe atmosphere. They can hang out in space. They won't feel heat or cold or radiation from the sun. They're a physical, perfect, ideal prototype form of what you show to other people when you're out of your body. It's a projection from the white core of the Atma. They're both 35 to 38 years old in appearance. He's about 368 Earth years old, maybe 8 or 9 years older than that now. She's about 256 Earth years old. He has long blonde hair and robin's egg blue eyes, slightly larger than Earth humans. She has long brunette hair and emerald green eyes, also slightly larger than Earth humans. They are very experienced, well-trained technicians, among other beneficial disciplines that remove what are called secondary implants. So the real person, the Atma, can begin to gain mastery over what is called the primary implant. That cannot be removed on Earth at this time because it's designed to kill your body. What they do, and why they're there, is to keep your primary and secondary implants turned off. Since your secondary implants were gone as far as their effect, in your previous journey some years ago, you were never shown the lifetimes that were hidden behind those implants. Artificial, not yours, says we'll kill you, we'll eat you, do not look here, we'll kill you again kind of stuff. But the lifetimes that were randomly chosen were chosen because they had no negative nature. Very high IQ, very high intelligence, ancient lives, lived thousands, sometimes many thousands of years. And the higher education, the Galactic Alliance, going back 500,000 years, and before that, before there was a Galactic Alliance. There's also a Galactic Alliance in the galaxy we call Andromeda, which they call Sepharis. In the Galactic Alliance, they use that term to describe it as the distant wonder. And of course, they're in communication with each other. People on Earth are so far, I guess kind of retarded or suppressed, away from normal human life, so far removed because of Galactic Alliance history and what happened to Earth, polar flips, and all these things, which have been stopped. But people on Earth are so far removed from what they used to know. It's not possible for them, collectively, even 8 billion of them, to save their planet from being self-annihilated by them. So the only grace we have is from the greater God from outside of Earth to come here in one way or another and end the silly behavior of people. Get rid of fear in their subconscious mind so they can remember they are supposed to be a co-creator with the source itself. Galactic Alliance people are now going on these journeys, very advanced beings. They're going above the void, even through Satnam's realm, above that to the U Expansion Ray Academy, and then the ocean of sound and light itself, and back. That takes place on the longer journeys. This one's taking place out in space, outside of Earth's atmosphere. You're looking down on your body, and it has an electromagnetic field around it. It's a big field of energy around the outside of the outer layer of the Atma itself. It's around the Atma near the ceiling and each of the beings that are visiting with you. It's also around your body. It's not a thin bunch of auric colors near your body like some people on Earth believe. It's identical in shape to the one that surrounds the planet Earth, outside of its surface atmosphere. It's the same as the one that looks like how it looks around the Atma and around your body. Implants are put out in that field. That's why they cannot be removed on Earth by people with subconscious minds. They would be misdirected and never get it done. I do not remove implants. That is done by close, trusted associates who were not forced to be in a body on Earth, did not grow up here. They know what they're doing and they don't make mistakes like people on Earth would, or I could. So although I can remove them, I choose not to because this body was on Earth and I was forced to be in it as well and had to grow it up here. So we do this in the most practical way. You imagine yourself being at 10,000 meters or feet, looking down at this home where you are. They're still hovering there out in the atmosphere, just levitating there, as for lack of a better way of describing it. And you can see yourself hovering near the ceiling with both of them still above the body. You are what's called direct projection, and you're in two places at the same moment. The Atma is multidimensional capable. The next instant you find yourself out in space in a circle of beings around Ambassador Turelian. Why him? Him because they immortalized their physical bodies over 1 billion Earth years ago. They didn't originate from the Milky Way or Andromeda. They were evolved much further out. And they are human. 12-stranded DNA versus 2, like the people on Earth have, or 4, like the people on Nerexlum have. The difference is the telomeres or the genomes on the bodies, on physical bodies on Earth, were altered a long time ago usually brought here as slaves from tyrant races under treaty in small colonies on Earth that were temporary. No one race was ever allowed to own or dominate this planet. It was like a Switzerland. And its poles would flip and wipe out everything on the surface anyway every 100,000 years. Probably the only world that I know of that does that. That has been permanently stopped a few years back. No more Golden Age to Iron Age for this planet. That is done. Little greys and reptilians and all that stuff that used to be few in number in bases underground were removed from our solar system and this planet, but not by people on Earth. It was done as a benefit so that there's a possibility for people to recover all this terrible, fearful, subconscious amnesia. Trellian shows us an 18-foot tall body for a reason. That's because the Say rays were 18 to 25 feet tall compared to an Earth human. There have been skeletons found on Earth 3.5 million years old, 25 feet tall, human. As soon as they were found, they were classified, taken away, kept out of the public because they're related to extraterrestrials. And the highest classified thing, which is now starting to be disclosed for the first time in history in the United States, the highest classified thing has anything to do with extraterrestrials. And it began because people were afraid of what was coming here. Even when they were good guys, they were still feared. Because they had technology that could have taken us over in, 10 minutes worldwide if they wanted to. This never happened, of course. It's never going to happen. There will come a time when ships will land all over this planet, when people are ready, even scared to their britches, to allow them here. That means their subconscious fear at least has to be neutralized enough for them to request it, because people on Earth once were the extraterrestrials. They're going to have to be able to embrace them at some point. The greater God is going to have to be allowed to come here and depollute the atmosphere, the water, the ground, the technology. They're going to have to get rid of metropolises and cities that polluted with people stacked on top of each other by relocating people to other worlds that are being prepared for them. Cities, the technology exists to transform the energy of cities back into the nature it was before things were torn down and built there. Because normal worlds do not concentrate their people living in city structures. The only small cities that are there for scientific research, space, technology, and exploration, things like that. People transport themselves to and from these locations. Out in space, you see myself. I'm standing to the right of Ambassador Trellian. You still have Chantel and Tonatiuh standing beside you. There are other people here that are master teachers from the Galactic Alliance. Hundreds of these masterful technicians that remove implants. They are not from Earth. They have been training and teaching in the Hue Expansionary Academy for a few years now. Which means, as lofty and paradisical as these Galactic Alliance worlds are, more than 450 million of them in just a little under a half of our galaxy, they were not going across the void to the source either. They didn't have subconscious minds, but they had lost the awareness. So this is being recovered in them as well these days. They advance so quickly once they're charged with energy from above the void. They become very, very beneficial people. It can be assigned to individuals on Earth. So, Chantel and Tonatiuh are assigned to you, Mooney. They're going to replace themselves as they move on with other people with two other male and female partners. Master Ramu's near Earth in this orbit, maroon-colored robe, swarthy skin, jet black, short-cropped beard and hair. Coal black eyes, little sandals, little rope for a belt, holding a crystal staff. It's glowing. It's a device. 6 feet tall with the ancient Egyptian symbol for immortality on top. This guy is showing you a body that looks to be about 36. He looks Tibetan, but he is not. He comes from a city called Agamdes. That is in a Himalayan mountain area, but not in the Himalayas on Earth. It's in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe, on a continent the size of left and right hemisphere across the equator, on a planet that's a higher molecular time rate, where no pollution exists, where the moon is alive and turns on its axis. That is there on its own right, manned by Say-Rays. A few silent mentors show up. Master teachers do this as well. Seems like you got a visitor back there, Mooney. Come in the room. Okay. That's right, they're Atmos too. So when you're up here in space, you can do both things at once. You keep your eyes closed. You can deal with your boys. You can do both. But your body is what you need to understand, is your body is in the trance state called sleep now. So is mine. You do this every night without thinking twice about it. The difference is, because of my voice and how this works friends from out of town, you stay conscious. You leave the body as you are in space. Doesn't matter what you hear around you. The Atma is what's going through this, not your body on Earth. The light around us here is a white golden light. It's very powerful. Billions of stars, big young blue hot white ones, big yellow ones, and smaller yellow ones, and red ones, big gigantic red planets, make up the billions of stars that make up the Milky Way galaxy. We can see them all around us, floating in this other energy. Yeah, no, he's interrupting things now, Mooney. He's just sticking his face in there and stuff. That's inappropriate. He's welcome, but this is not helping. This takes concentration. Okay. It can be challenging to balance a family life and still become God realized and walk your path, as you well know. At least that is trained to people in India in certain circles. And it's true. There's nothing wrong with it. It just takes a certain discipline and organization. In space, you can hear the sound of this omnipresent hue. It sounds like rumbling thunder, but it's not frightening. There's no lightning. It's everywhere. I want you to look up and see Etta and Din, cute as heck, hovering above Ambassador Trellian, the Atma that is hovering above his body. And there's the two of them about 3 feet long, standing upright on their hind legs with their tail glowing, like crystal opal in bright sunlight. Etta and Din. Now she looks like Etta, just a little thinner, bigger eyelashes, obviously feminine. These two are master teachers. They're silica-based DNA, not carbon. They evolved in huge chambers at the bottom of the Oceanian Ocean. And Master Opelum, who is standing in an orbit in the outer side of this circle of beings, has pale blue skin, emerald green eyes, jet black hair to his shoulders, while holding up his right hand with webs between it, lifting his neck so you can see the little slits high up under the back of his neck. These are humans from another world that learn to breathe underwater or on land. Their world is mostly water covered. We go on journeys to such places for our benefit in the longer journeys, like the one take place next week. In particular, that one is headed towards the journey to Source itself. People have requested this, so they're being taken there. And when they return, they will not be the same. This is a good thing. When you look up above Eta and Din and the Atmas hovering above them, you see Satnam standing way up in space. He's by himself, little grin on his face. Looks like he might come from the country of India, where you came from, Moody. His bronze skin, bald head, gold eyes, not yellow, not brown. 2 gold bracelets on his upper arms, a little white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare ankles. Strongly built, muscular, bare-chested, just his hands at his side, just observing us. Above him is this much larger Atma than us. Twice as many of these teardrops, and he's structured differently. But he's an Atma too. And above him is a vortex which goes upward, looks like an hourglass. It's whirling clockwise, white golden light, brighter than the one around us here. A blue-green water type, maybe half a foot thick, whirling outside the outer layer of it, clockwise, but it is not water. It creates a vortex between Satnam's realm, above the void, and the physical space outside of Earth, so we bypass the astral, causal, mental, and etheric for a reason. We want this to be constructive and beneficial. And then Shantiel and Tonaltiel turn you around. You're looking out in space between the Earth and the Moon, and you can see a single Galactic Alliance scout craft hovering there, 30 feet in diameter. It has a blue-gray metallic hull, 3 semi-spheric pods on the bottom in triangular formation, and a thin blue antigravitic light around the hull glowing. And you can see right through the hull because we're Atmas. You realize there are 4 couples on this ship. 3 are working behind a semicircular control console with faceted luminous crystals all over the surface, one of which you can see an example of it as it was 100,000 years ago in the illustration of Captain Kalem's ship contained in the Emerald Doorway. These are a bit more modern. And you can see a couple shoulder to shoulder, head to head, apparently asleep in the back on a lounge. Then you realize that that couple is Shantiel and Tonaltiel standing beside you, showing you a pure human-like form. You're showing them the same thing. Perfectly handsome 36-year-old Mooney. Flawless. That's never changed since the beginning. That's who we really are. It's how we show ourselves to each other. And you can see the Atma you are hovering up above you. Because this body form that's made of energy has eyes and perceptions, you can see what's taking place. Up in the electromagnetic field, if you go and Google it, it comes out the South Pole, goes in the north. It's a big field that circles around the planet Earth, circles around the Atma, circles around your physical body on Earth in the trance state called sleep. And you can see 3 oval white spheres of light connected by a white tube that's on the outside, the outer layer of the Atma, not in it. The Atma cannot be implanted. Nothing negative can be put there, but it can be placed outside of that through which you see the universe and get fooled. These are not turned on. They were turned off since the time we went and removed those 3 crystalline forms. It was easier to be done for people because they could recognize those structures. In this case, Shantiel and Tonaltiel are moving you shoulder to shoulder right up inside this field of energy, which is also made out of the hue. Circles around through the Atma so it can float in this other omnipresent field of life. And they're moving their hands, palms up, the 2 of them, under it, and then moving it to your face. As your face enters it, you begin to experience what was contained behind the implant, which has been turned off and removed. It's just the memory. So we're going to make this conscious. You are on a world around the trinary sun system. That means 3 suns. Big, white, blue one, big yellow one, smaller, and a smaller one beside that. And you're on a planet 4 times bigger than Earth, It is mostly water covered, but has a small continent in the northern hemisphere, one in the southern. There are dome cities upon it. It has a bluish purple kind of atmosphere. 3 worlds the size of Earth with dome cities, no polar ice caps. And what's surprising me is this is not in the Milky Way galaxy, Moni. This is in Andromeda, Cepharis. It's located in one of the spiral arms near the middle out of the ones that circle the core. It's a little bit larger than the Milky Way. And this is over 4.5 million years ago. 500,000 years ago is when the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds was established. So this means way back then, you're going to go down onto the planet and you're going to find yourself walking along the central continent, looking up in the sky at daytime to see these 3 suns and planets. You can see all 3 during daylight on this planet. You're walking along an emerald-colored grass that is glowing because the water in it is charged. And it is moving like a little snake through a mountain path, and you're walking into an oval tunnel. It's lit up with dome-shaped lights along the ceiling. And you have a body that looks blue, pale blue skin like an oceana, but it has a very soft lavender glow around. This is because of the nature of the charged water of the hue in the body on this life. It's 7 feet tall. It has long bluish gray hair to the shoulders, emerald green eyes, golden pupils, with ears like Spock, pointed out away from the head, longer fingers, a little bit longer neck and feet. These are not Xantronomus from the Milky Way. This is something else. Skin is smooth with thinner cheekbones. You are also walking towards to meet a man and a woman about your age. You look to be about 30. And you have a symbol of a whirling galaxy. And on top of it is 3 golden stars. This is different from the one in the Milky Way. A little more advanced. And you're walking up to a central curved disk with crystalline controls on it and big holographic computer screens in a semicircle around you. Around the upper edge of this is a circular platform with people walking on it and triangular walkways going inside this mountain base. And you meet with these 2 people and you're discussing some kind of science project that you've been working on in association with some planets in the Milky Way, way back then. When you look down on this balcony that circles around this floor, you can see a long cylindrical ship, maybe 300 feet. A little bit more pointed around the edges than a Galactic Alliance Emerald Star Cruiser. Very much the same kind of technology. This is a lifetime on a planet they call Shrantan. I don't know what it means. Shrantan, I don't know. It's a planet near, well, still quite a ways away from the galactic core where they have their primary headquarters world system, in which case it runs all the planets in that galaxy. You lived about 7,800 years in that life before voluntarily having the body dematerialized, and you went on somewhere else. Probably came to the Milky Way. Part of your scientific research, perhaps, to start running a body there. Probably would have been volitional then. There was no negative nature, no warfare. Your IQ would have been through the roof compared to a human male on Earth. Like the Galactic Alliance people, you would have had the equivalence of 10 PhDs by the time you were 10. And at 30, you're over 350 years old here. You live a long time. Telomeres don't shrink. This one has 8-stranded DNA. It is human. The Sayres were responsible for seeding human life like this in many galaxies billions of years ago, bringing them up to spacefaring race, and then disappeared. It was recent in numbers of years that they returned to start to take responsibility for what we've done with it, which is quite a mess. Consider the Say-Rays, mentors of the spacefaring races. They were all good at one time. Reptilian, Greys, Whites, Nordics, Mantis, Pashots, anything you might think of. Bird people. They were all run by Atmas, just like you're running the one in Ontario. And then you find yourself in space, coming out of this oval white sphere with Chantil and Tonto beside you. He's spinning it up in the air on his finger, and she's just giving it a swat, and it disintegrates. That little white turned off beam between these two other implants is gone. There are two floating white spheres of light still in that electromagnetic field. Now, this lifetime is awake as a teardrop in the Atma you are, and it is aware of back on Earth. Plus, this is recorded so you can play it back a second time, and then go and play and see more of this lifetime, earlier and later, if you wish. This will bring more intelligence and greater comprehending ability to you naturally back to the body on Earth that learned none of it here. Now they're moving you around to this other white oval sphere around the back side. Well, let's see. To the right side, because that was over in the left side. We're going over the right side about 2/3 of the way out in the electromagnetic field of the U. And they're moving you up to it, and they're placing their open palms. These are non-physical energy human-like bodies, and they're bringing it forward to you so you can move your face into it. Remember, this is energy. It's a projection of the Atma. So this is the tool you use to review what happened in a lifetime where you were running a body. In that previous life, when you were in the control room in that mountain, you were an Atma running the body, and so was everyone else. Forgot to mention that. But in that lifetime, you knew exactly what you were. And you all knew you weren't the body you were running. Very different times. So in this Atma, this particular white oval secondary implanted structure, you move inside it and you suddenly realize that you are levitating above a blue luminous ocean. There are two beings levitating to each side of you. You have a blue glow around your bodies. You're moving from an island offshore, has several dome cities on it. They are Galactic Alliance spaceports for this planet. And you have a kind of a monk's robe, a blue monk's robe on. So do the other two. You have a shaved head. You have bronze skin. You have ears that are a little bit bigger than human and curve away from the face a little bit. You have these blue within blue eyes and a little violet circle around the outside. It's very beautiful. You're about 6 feet tall. They're both males to each side of you. And you are flying forward towards a beach that lines in a big curve this glowing blue ocean. You're simply levitating through the air because this is what you could do as a physical entity, and because of the discipline of what you were at that time. This one has a Galactic Alliance symbol on it, even though you're monks, because they're all part of the same trusted organization. Silver Galaxy, four-sided, blue-sided pyramid with a quartz top, 3 blue stars in triangular formation above it. And there is this little glow under your feet. You're simply riding the air molecules, which in this planet are charged with the hue. Even the air glows. The ocean below you glows. The energy around your bodies is glowing because the water is charged. H2O can charge a great deal of hue. Earth's oceans are depleted, except near the equator. So they don't glow. Water should glow. The water in our body should be glowing. We should be charged with hue. There shouldn't be any subconscious nonsense. So out here is what I'm sharing with you in this lifetime. You knew this well long ago, long before you found yourself on Earth with no memory. And you move towards this beach and land on a golden colored sand. It too is luminous. And in the distance is a blue stone pathway that curves between 2 long oval lakes, also glowing with blue light. There's a curved mountain range in the distance with a blue-gray stone, no polar ice caps. I mean, no mountain ice caps. And in the back, you see another mountain with a polar ice cap. Not a polar ice cap. A mountain, snow-capped mountain, because it is created there for the aesthetic pleasure of the people. They do it deliberately, but it's not under the weather of this planet. This planet that you're on. It's called Sancentum. This took place about 193,000 years ago in the Galactic Alliance, closer to the galactic core, near one of the Severan spiral arms. The next one over from where Earth is, which is 2/3 of the way out of it, towards the outer area of the galaxy. In Sancentum, you were, well, going to a monastery, I suppose. But you weren't just some kind of monk. You were a scientist, too. You guys were beginning to introduce, against, I guess, some struggle, that there was more above the void that people knew about in this time than they knew. Something was keeping them from accessing it. No war, no faulty DNAs. You lived over 10,700 years in this life. And you're landing on a ledge that sticks up above 2/3 of the way of this mountain in the distance. When you look up, there's a trinary sun system. It's a big yellow one, like our sun, but much bigger. Smaller yellow one, and a little red dwarf. And you're landing on a curved plateau and walking through a triangular opening inside that mountain. And when you get inside it, there are these people sitting in kind of a lotus position. They are hovering above their bodies as Atmas, and they know it. You are already doing that with your two companions. You come and sit in the center of this circle, and then you're sharing with them what you just found on that island out there. Because there was a huge Galactic Alliance ship parked there. You just came from that ship. And you're telepathically sharing it, visually showing it like a hologram up in the air between all these 100 or so other fellow monks, scientists. At this time, you were studying what you would call interdimensional physics, porthole physics, the ones that the silent mentors guard that you people did not know about then. They had no interaction with people on Earth, no interaction with people in the lower galaxies. They maintain the structure. That is changing, but it's changing in the Hugh Expansionary Academy above the void. You have to go there if you want to mix it up with those guys. The silent mentors are the mentors of the Serays. When they immortalized their bodies like Turellian 1 billion years ago, they dematerialized the 12-stranded DNA and stored it in a teardrop. And when they need it, they draw on the omnipresent power, fill it in, show it to you, carry out a mission, and put it away. They do not have the problem of pushing a body around, taking it to the bathroom, or feeding it. So what Turellian does in these journeys, beside hold the focus of when we're out in space where no negative nature can be brought from Earth's atmosphere, they keep us focused on getting constructive benefit from these journeys. These beings do this voluntarily, and it's effortless for them. When you come out of that life and you're pulling out of this oval white sphere, tonal Tial is simply sending the hue into it and disintegrating it. And then they're starting to laugh and chuckle and jump around because the hue released from all this suppressed wonderful lifetime, second one, is very uplifting to them. Turellian still got his 2 thumbs up with gold white around his fists, gold white light. It's coming down through the vortex above Satnam, through his fingers, through Ed and Din, right through you, and out into this area of the Atma and the energy field that surrounds you. We call the electromagnetic field. Toroidal energy, 0-point energy, the energy of the universe. Now they're moving you to the backside of the Atma out in space, circling around it, and then bringing you up to this last secondary implant hidden memory. This time they place their palms up under your palms and place it under this, and you're actually reaching in and pulling this one out yourself. co-creatively doing it with them because your primary implant's turned off. So that terrorizing thing that actually killed you and put you on Earth is not on to interfere with you. And as you move your face into this one, you find yourself swimming in an emerald green glowing ocean. And you're swimming through the water very effortlessly. There's a group of other people, younger people, about 20, you about 35, and you have a pale blue body. You have emerald green eyes, you're an Oceanian. This is not an Oceania. This is on one of their other world systems, they have many. And in this one you are a scientist. Of course the Oceanians mix it up with all the other races in the Galactic Alliance. They have for 500,000 years. In this life you're 58,550 years ago in this scene. And you're swimming, and then you just dive under the water with your companions. There's a dozen of them, male and female. You're breathing underwater, and these porpoises and dolphins come up to you. They have a glow around their bodies, blue skin. It's more beautiful than whales and dolphins on Earth, who don't get enough hue charges they should. And down on the bottom of this ocean, you can see some dome cities. Those are Oceanian technology all over the Galactic Alliance. You're an entire group of scientists that study what you call mammals that they don't think of as animals at all. And they're swimming up around you, and then you're sitting in a circle and they're surrounding you. You are all talking to them. They have vocal cords you don't hear underwater, so they're telepathic. And they're speaking to you, and these are old friends, people you've been studying about how the atmosphere hovering above the bodies of these mammals are living, because these are scientists. These dolphins and whales don't need technology to explore how to work with the omnipresent hue. They do it better than us. They didn't originate on Earth. So there's a great respect and love, because in your telepathic communion, you guys get to swap atmas. You hover above a whale's, particularly a big whale, male, and that atma hovers above your body, Oceania, and you begin to experience what it's like to be each other. Respect is divine love. They cannot be hidden. Nobody eats animals out there in space, brings lockers full of refrigerators full of dead cow butts, parts of fish. No, they don't do that. Earth is the problem. It's probably one of the remaining problems in the Milky Way galaxy, because the people that live there don't know they came from the stars. They didn't originate on Earth. This is also a trinary sun system. You can see it right through the water. You turn around, look up, the whales and dolphins point upward. And you can see the sky, 3 suns circling. Well, actually, the planet is quite large. There's 3 continents on it. The rest is water covered. There's no polar ice caps. There are 2 worlds out there the size of Earth hovering around this planet. And then this planetary system circles a trinary sun system. Big blue one, smaller red one, and then another smaller blue one. This is called Oshantan 2. It's not Oceania. That is the governing world system for the Oceanian people. They have the highest probably developed crystalline-based science. The Xentronomus on the other side of the Milky Way also have that. Torellian and the Sayres are far more evolved than that, in need of a spaceship. So when you come out of that life, and you're hovering in space, you come out of this oval white sphere. Shantyo and the tonal tool are asking you to send the hue into it. It's coming down through Satnam above the void, mind you. Down through Torellian, out his hands, into a beautiful, larger oval sphere of the hue that is brighter than the hue that's in space. Doesn't appear black to us at all. So you can get an idea now of where this these revelations of these lies are coming from. They're coming from above the void. There's no negative nature in them. And this time you send the hue out. This hue comes through you, through Chantel and Tonal, and disintegrates this white oval sphere. It's gone. There are no secondary implants of any kind or form in your electromagnetic field. When you look down on Earth from here, you can see that Chantiol and Tonal and you are hovering near the ceiling. The body sitting in the chair has an electromagnetic field around it humming. There are no secondary implants. The primary implant is a pyramidal shape, four-sided golden with a quartz cap, sits above the north pole of the Atma. The other one points downward below the southern. It cannot be removed without killing your physical body on Earth. But you know, and we'll talk about this when the recording stops, you know what's in it. I think we went through a time where you at least looked into how you died before you were compelled to be in a body here. If we haven't done that, we will have to do that in another journey. But if you've been aware of looking into it, you're going to find that with these secondary implant lifetimes recovered, your IQ will go up, your ability to comprehend things will go way up, and you'll be able to master better what the primary implant is. In other words, you'll choose not to look at it. Can't find any secrets looking into evil, torture and death and all that nonsense, because there's no genius in it. It's just perverted. So you can choose to either turn it off by setting the U to it, or simply look at a waterfall or your boys. Look at a hummingbird and it will shut off. Then you find yourself hovering near the ceiling with Chantil and Tonal looking down at your body. A white golden light comes through the ceiling. You know where it's coming from. It comes down through the pineal gland, the center of your brain, out to that electromagnetic field. Then it goes through you for your benefit and continues onward to others for the benefit of others. It makes its way to 3 pyramids stationed on Earth. 2 at the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans with a statue of Satnam in it. It's a fountain, it's a device. 1 inside a hollowed out interior in the Himalayas. It goes to a bigger pyramid stationed between 2 stationary asteroids. Floats there and circles the orbit of the sun as the asteroid field in the orbit of what was a planet long ago between Mars and Jupiter. It goes out in space to big pyramids that have appeared between stars. It goes back to the galactic core and up the white shaft, golden shaft of light, and returns to source. It never stops moving. It's always moving through you. As of this moment, you are more consciously a co-creator with source because you always were. This isn't something you can find out how to do or gain back in the future that you never once had. You have to recover that you once knew this and lost it, and that this process is one way onward and upward. It cannot be reversed. When you're ready, open your eyes. Three, they can't be taken from you. They're turned on out here. They are connected to your physical form, so you can go back and review this in a couple of days. You know how it is. No boys, no interference. Whenever you can find the time, get a cup of tea, turn off your cell phone, and go on it again at the time. And you'll find a lot more took place than you may remember right now. But it also have an effect on you in another way. This is the updated secondary implant removal journey. I wanted you to go on it.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, it was really good, actually.
Well, it's your lives. You might as well have them back. That's just 3 random ones that were selected out of billions. But important enough to change your life here. It's changing mine. It's changing everybody's. It's good. I'll bring the recording to a stop.